I really was like, damn, I picked the wrong book. But with him telling his story and all that, I was like, shit, I fucked up. But as it took off, you know what I'm saying? It put the past, the present, and where we going all in his perspective.
For sure.
But it was just some real shocking things to me to find out how the people of Africa view light skinned African Americans. Like to say you're mixed, no matter if you got black and white parents. I mean, you got both black parents. It's crazy to me. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? And then to turn around and find out that y'all really want to look like them. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Y'all want the fair skin and all that. It was just shocking to read that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm already hard on, you know what I'm saying, the Africans, Jamaicans, and whoever else come over here because how I feel they look at us. So that was just, I guess more for me. It was like I knew I wasn't wrong in how I felt. You know what I'm saying?
Confirmation.
Yeah, but for the most part, then I did learn about the Palestine thing because I really wasn't paying attention to it. You know what I'm saying? But it really educated me on that. And now I look at it like, okay, there's some, that it kind of involves us as a people. So I might want to pay attention to it a little more. But that was what I'm saying, what I really got from the book. I enjoyed it. You know what I'm saying? I hope everybody else enjoyed it. If not, you know what I'm saying, my bad, but we'll pick something else.
All right, I like that. We're gonna go by the people that fell up in the room. Uh, John was next, and then we got you, Kurt.
Copy that.
I enjoyed the book. The way that he uses words to convey a story, and the way that he talks about how that's what we all do, and how it really just shapes opinions and narratives and all of that. So it was a great read to me. I can't say it was anything that I didn't like about it.
Mm.
So that's all I got for my little intro.
All right, Kurt, you got it.
I, I bought the audiobook, so I had a chance to hear his words and his expressions on certain areas in the book. That was a plus, and like his emotions when he was reading it, it was pretty cool. And to go through like what Ralph said, he started off kind of like about when he was in Africa and how he went back to Africa, and Ralph talked about the colorism, and then I know a lot about I think I do. I think I know a lot about the Palestinian plight, and I think we kind of all have an idea of the Jewish plight. And to keep it short, is that in this book he explained the plight or the struggle of the Palestinians and how it aligned like ours. So I enjoyed the book. That's it.
He did a real good job. Not to cut you off, he did a real good job with that too.
Yeah, yeah,
He did a very good job with that.
You did
yeah.
an excellent job. Excellent.
All right, Helen, you up?
So for me, I actually it didn't start off as slow for me, as it probably did for some others. I actually enjoyed the beginning of the book because it when I was younger, I used to love to write. So his thoughts on just how he was as a child, how he observed, how they wrote different things about him not paying attention in class, and just he just wasn't entertained. He wasn't the best student, but he became this writer, just through his exploration, through his curiosity, him just continuously being given things to read from his parents and his community. Like he was just kind of determined to find the truths. And I thought that that was very powerful, just to hear, and just to convey to even just some of the young people that I see that are having trouble conforming to what today's schools want them to do. And just knowing that you're probably just bored. You probably just need other things to other truths to come out, for it to make sense for you. So I was just glad that he continued on with his passion of writing. And like as some others said, like it really made me, when a book or when some literature give me something to research, I appreciate that, because I'm not really in tune with the Palestinian and Israel fight. And I really need to know more about our international affairs. So now I got some studying to do. So I appreciated the book
Yeah,
though.
I agree with that because I was sleeping on that too, and I was like, damn, like I really should have been paying attention to that.
Yeah, yeah. Flex, what you talking about?
Uh, I was really into the writing out the gate. Like out the gate, his writing really caught me. Like I felt him. You know what I'm saying? As far as the stuff that he was talking about, like so in the beginning when he was even telling you how you can put your words together and how words tell stories. Oh my God, my bad. And then how he went into his first trip to what was it, the car, I believe. You had to excuse me because I'm
Yeah,
reading
it
other
was the
books too.
car.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was
so
the
just
car.
his whole story, like that was, I felt that and I understood everything that he was talking about. I also loved how he talked about his book being protested by white people in South Carolina, in Chapin, South Carolina, which is where my cousin Kay and my aunts, like that's where they live currently.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? And how it kind of even it gelled in with what we was talking about how people will go to it's older folks that go to these different things that people are voting on. It's something that we talked about on the Hunger Room.
mm,
So that really correlated to me. And then the whole thing with Palestine, like I don't want to say I was the most versed on it because I wasn't, but I definitely understood what he was talking about and how Palestine has completely been losing land inch by inch by inch, like how Bethlehem was used to be a part of Palestine. Like Palestine was given that land in a certain time, a small portion, how they've taken it over, how Israel has
Yeah,
yeah, Israel, how like this gonna sound crazy, but the evil in Israel, that
mm.
actually has me looking up what was going on with Hitler and the Jews. Like
right.
Right.
it opened my mind up to so much more than just his writings because like even in the middle of the ceasefire, all of this is going on, and in the middle of the ceasefire that was supposed to be going on, Israel's still bombing Lebanon.
Yeah,
But Israel is completely Israel's not even like I don't want to say it's not real, but it's not a new it's not a new state. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Tyson,
I was
Tyson.
I
I didn't
was
want to
into
cut.
it. My bad.
I don't know if you was done or not.
No, no, you good. You good. My bad. I know I was going getting kind of long winded with it,
Oh
but
no, you
the,
good. We're gonna get
the book
into it.
was crazy to me.
We definitely gonna get into it. Tyson, how you feeling?
So shout out to whoever picked the book. I know who
got a
picked
name. I got a name. I got a name.
shout out. This brother, the wordsmith, Kurt, I wind up getting the audio because I started out reading it, then got busy, and I was like, no, I have to finish this because that's how engaged I was. So headed to work. So I'm listening to this, and the crazy thing about it is, I didn't even know he was going to go in this direction toward the end. But the doctor that I work with, she is Orthodox Jew, like
Hmm.
down all of the holidays, every single thing. And I always tell people I was raised Jew because if you're in New York City, your teachers are Jews, everything about New York City, they I feel like they set the city up around the Jewish community pretty much. Or
Facts.
they come in, they buy up everything, they take over everything. One of the cities that I was living in, they literally were pushing everybody out to get out their houses because they need to be near their synagogue so that they could walk and that they could, do their holidays or whatever. So
Wow.
and I just every now and then I'll just ask her a question. Like I just want to see where her head is at. And one of the main questions that we asked her was, does she think that the uh the Jewish plight versus racism is different? We asked her that. And
That's a
she
great
Mm,
question. Yo,
yeah,
that's a great question.
and she said yes, she thinks it's different, which is kind of crazy to me, right? Like she feels like, they're prosecuted more and all this other stuff. And of course, so I'm gonna tell you my favorite part about this book is I always say we speak from our experiences, always, right? So the
Right.
Mhm.
fact that this man traveled to these places and got into the crevices with the people, got into it, lived with them, associated with them, and really understood what was going on. I'm like, I was jealous, honestly. Like, I'm like, if I could do life over again, that's the kind of life I would want, where I'm actually going and experiencing these things, because we talk about it, but we're so detached from it. You know what I mean? Everything, I was raised in South Carolina, from middle school into high school. So those type of things, I'm not surprised at them wanting to what's the word I'm looking for, get rid of his writings and protesting and want this teacher fired. And I said, look at the heart of people, look how evil people are. They, instead of accepting this book, they'd rather have her lose her job. That was crazy to me. So this book was top tier, definitely on the opposite side of the last book we read. No, shade to the last book, but this book actually felt more empowering. But go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with everything. The things that stood out with me, and like I said, he's also one of my favorite authors, writers, because of the way he used words and he brings you into his world. I actually saw a video of him talking when he was in the book, and he was talking about where he went down to the school to the meeting when they was trying to ban his book.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually saw the video when it was happening, and
Which
that
one?
was before he even put the book out. And that's how I got wind of it. And so when Ralph picked this book, I'd already read a couple of his books already, so this was perfect. And I liked the way that he described his books as his kids and
Yes.
where they stood in different places in life and how they work for what he's trying to do and to show his maturity and all the things that he's going through. I thought that was beautiful how he did that. Also, again, I wasn't very versed on the Palestine and Israel situation as well. Like I said, I only heard it from him talking about it on video before I read this book. And so when I read the book and was able to really, when he really dug into it, and it made me already kind of had a gist of it. But even in the politics today, where people start talking about Israel and how America is so influenced by Israel and all of these things, and it makes me wonder um, just how crazy politics is when a whole nother country somewhere else that has done something to my people and they're doing it to other people over there in Israel and Palestine, and it's still the influence all over the world. And it was just crazy to me. But the way that he was able to dig into it, the way that he was able to put us in those places with him when he was traveling and meeting with the people, and like I said, in Africa and in Israel, and also the fact that he didn't just stop at one side. He went on the side of the Israelis that live as Israelis, and then he went and got tours by people that were once Israeli and said, "No, we ain't mess with them like that no more." So he could see both sides of how stuff is played out. So for me, I love the book. I learned a lot from it, and that's pretty much how I felt about it. I guess now we just open up the floor to, I guess, some thoughts on or questions that we could just put out there that we can kind of wrap our heads around. Anybody want to jump in? Kurt, you was very energetic. Go ahead and throw some stuff out there. Unmute yourself, Kurt.
Here we go. I'm always interjector. You know what I mean? Thank you. But me, I don't watch sports. I don't do none of that stuff. All I do is politics. So when it came to this book, I was like, oh yeah, this is up my alley. Especially when we start talking about countries of Africa and the Palestinian and Israel beef. Now, the Jewish people, the historic Jewish people, because of course we have the Johnny come latelys, which is the Caucasian Jews that kind of took over the concept of being a Jew.
That's what we talking about. To be
Uh,
clear,
okay, yeah, for sure, yeah. And just saying that each country that have each country that have let Jews into their country, like Germany, they saw a decline because they quietly took over their country financially, and they created a Hitler. When I say they, I mean the conditions that they created in Germany created a Hitler. I don't mean they specifically created him, but from there, Hitler wanted to be an artist, but he became a leader. And the book burnings was, to my knowledge, was about the books that was being introduced to their society. They didn't like it. Like I want to say the extreme of pedophilia, but it was books that they felt that would destroy
You should be choking.
Society, because people are very conservative back then, and then went into Italy, and it was a movie called A Merchant of Venice with Al Pacino. It was a kind of a poetic thing, and that's where the term a pound of flesh. Give me my pound of flesh, and that's a long story. I'll put that in group chat about the pound of flesh. And secondly, and I want to get on the Palestinians. Do I think the Palestinians are being mistreated? Yes. And I want to ask, not really ask a question. Well, I'm going to ask a rhetorical question. If somebody was in prison for, let's say, 30 years, in max prison, because in the book you realize how they was treated by Israel. They can't drive on certain roads, and they can't go to work on certain days because maybe they didn't feel like for them going to work. But that's like being in max prison. They call Palestine an open prison. Long story short, if somebody you knew was in prison for like 40 years max prison, because there are Palestinians that grew up, don't know nothing else but this occupation. The question is, would you let that person, when they got out of jail, into your house? Now, a rhetorical question, I'm going to answer it. No. I had a friend of mine that when I was a young man in my 20s, he had a guy in prison. He did like 5 years. And I was like, yeah, man, you can come stay with me. And it was a disaster. He was kind of what they call, not indoctrinated. What do we call that? But when you've been in prison a long time, you
Institutionalized.
Institutionalized. There we go. Institutionalized. And it wasn't his fault. It just But long story short, King Abdullah of Jordan let Palestinians come to his country, and they try to overthrow it. And it's just that they are what they call institutionalized people. All they know is struggle. They would continue to struggle. So from there, that's my question to everybody. Would you allow the Palestinians to come to your country if you was a leader?
I want to kind of interject. Are you trying to make Palestinians the people who are wrong in this? Is that what you're trying to say? It's them that are the problem? I'm just asking.
No. Oh, no, I'm not. No. I'm just giving perspective. That's all.
I was just asking. You talked so long. I kind of lost.
It came off, Kurt, like you were saying, like when you say come
Yeah.
to yours, like they didn't get invaded.
Right. Like for instance, I'm glad you said that. Like they got invaded. Actually, they fell victim to.
Fell victim to what? Like I'm confused.
Go ahead.
Because we talking about a bunch. We're not really talking about the book now, but I just want to make sure I understand what you're saying.
Okay. All right. What's your question?
He asked you, are you saying like your analogy about a prisoner coming to your house after 40 years?
Right.
And then are you saying the prisoners are the Palestinians?
Yes. They have lived in an open prison for there are like the last time they was free was back in the 60s or maybe earlier than that. So there's people that's been born, like I was born in 74. If I was born in Palestine, that's all I knew was the occupation.
So Kurt, the way that you put it out there, am I muted? The way that you put it out there, it made it seem like, because you said you agree with, that they're the prisoners or whatever, but then the way you made your analogy to would I allow, and you use the prison to let somebody in, to me that you lift a whole lot to question, because you got to look at that person as well. and also what kind of crime they did when they went in there. So that's a whole nother story. But
And
the way you kind of phrase it, it kind of put it to where should we open ourselves up to a possibility of something being done to us bad by somebody we don't really know a lot about, or looking for refuge, I'll just say.
well, those people have experiences, right? I'm glad Flex asked the question. I'm glad y'all asking the same question. Like y'all said, like y'all mentioned that y'all feel like I am persecuting them. I'm just kind of like giving perspective because if I had let's say I had a good friend that was in prison for 40 years, he's not the same friend that I know when he get out because he has been, it's like I have been through experiences too, and everybody, and you got to put in perspective that the average Palestinian has a narrative just like us black people, and that's what I was kind of getting at the book, is that even us as black people, my fault, African Americans, is that we hold a narrative that of slavery and racism that's embedded in our culture. And I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm just saying it's a fact. And then I look at the Palestinians, and that's why I brought up them. And I try to keep it neutral because I did say that what they're doing, what Israel's doing to them is terrible. And I'm sure, well, not to be long winded, I'm bringing it to a head. Is that we have to put in perspective that they will never let this go. There's nothing we can do to right this wrong. Not we, I mean them. Israel know this. I think personally, Israel know there's nothing they can do to right this wrong.
I don't think they care about righting that wrong.
I don't think they think they're wrong.
Okay, go ahead, Tyson.
No,
I'm with you on that too, and you have more experience in it than I do. So
I
you got it.
don't. They don't believe that they're wrong. They believe that they are the chosen, right?
Mhm.
And believe that they have the right to take over. They have the right to, and they use the Bible to back that up. Now, unfortunately, like we all have confessed, we don't know enough. We haven't done enough research, which I will challenge us to do more research on like the history of this, right? And exactly, I just know that Palestine, that it's not, the land is not that big. I know that for I asked like, what's going on? Like they can't just share, and they're like, no, it's really not that big. Okay, there's that. And then um the other thing that I learned was that they let the Israelites in, and then they took over their land. Like they needed a place
Right,
to land, they took over. So,
right.
and if you think about it, even here in America, like if you look at banks, and I have to fact check this, but I swear I heard somebody say, like, in terms of the graves and stuff like that, there's a certain amount of time before that land become Jewish owned
Yeah.
grave sites. Like I heard.
Right. They built a museum over grave sites. You know what I mean? Over Palestinian grave sites. Yeah.
Right. So this is what I'm saying. Like but even here in America, like in terms of land and stuff like that, like I was like, wait, I never did a deep dive on it, but so that to me is separate. So there's two things that to me the book was talking about. The book had the Palestinians and Israelites, right? But also the fact that books being banned here in America in schools, books being banned because it's making someone feel uncomfortable. Like
Right.
that right there was like blew my mind. You understand? Like,
Right.
oh, it made you feel uncomfortable. And they're really
Right.
trying to make laws and things like to back this up. Like you can't make someone feel uncomfortable. So this is
Mm,
why you can't teach this.
No, it
yeah.
ain't that you can't make somebody feel uncomfortable. It's who you make them feel uncomfortable.
Right. That
Right.
right.
Yeah. To that point, and then I want to talk about something else that was in the book. He spoke about how important the book clubs were that showed up to these things when they was going to these town hall meetings to speak up for this teacher. And they
Right.
were saying literally, and that's when he realized, and when he was overseas and he was doing those focus groups of how many people had read his stuff, and he didn't even realize how much he had touched so many people, that the power of reading, the power of books is massive. And I think a lot of times it's untapped because today everything is so fast forward. Let's do this, let's do that, let's get out over here, over here, over there. But literally, he said the situation that helped his book stay in that school system was because people from book clubs showed up and showed that teacher that support. That
Yeah.
was one thing that I found that was very powerful. The other thing that we kind of just glossed over, when he was talking about his daddy, that was so real to me. When he was
Yes.
talking about how his daddy was,
His parents.
yeah, like that was real. They weren't religious, but they were real. They were very staunch in everything that all that they had, everything that they were interested in. I think he was in. His dad was in the Black Panthers or something like that.
That I
And the one thing that stood out to me when he said his dad told him, whenever he would have problems or get in trouble, he just send him to the library, give him a book. Here, go read this, and you figure it out, and then I'll talk you through it. But then it was that one time where he said something to the extent of, "You go through this revolutionary, only to find out that it's just not gonna change.
right.
And you just gotta live with it.
Yeah.
Like, so now what you gonna do with your life?" And he was like, now you look back and you think about all the years that was spent us doing this fighting and this and that, and still ain't nothing changed. That to me hit me hard because it's almost like, and not saying it was a failure, but it was also a realization to say that sometimes the machine is too big. It's too big. And if you're gonna decide to put yourself into it and get lost into it, that's one thing. But you also have to find the avenue to say, okay, I got to pivot. I see this ain't working, so let me pivot and try to do some other things, and I can still use the mantra that I got from this revolutionary thought process and ideology and put it in other areas. And I use Bobby Seale as one of those examples when the Black Panthers and they was out on the streets, they was out here doing this, and Bobby Seale was like, we got to get at the table. So he
Mm.
went and ran for office. You know what I mean? And he did it from that perspective. So that was heavy to me when he talked about his dad. And even when his dad, I think he got fired from the job or something. And he said he just sat there and read. Said, I'll figure it out. And he just sat there and just started reading. So that was real huge for me as far as what he was talking about in the book about his parents.
That was one of my favorite parts as well. I think just because it just showed everything that he was, just came from his foundation. His parents didn't have it totally figured out, but they gave him the tools to research and find the things to, like, they gave him that emotional intelligence that he needed to be who he needed to be.
Mm.
That was very powerful for me. And also it just translated just to his backing. Like you said, people were just showing up for him. Even when he said like his work had made it to his work had made it to Africa before he did.
Right.
Like that was so dope, like on so many levels, because at one point he was doubting himself. Like he was doubting himself. He was afraid to go. He was afraid of the unknown, and then he made it there. And just at the very end, some student was already abreast of his work, so it
Mhm.
was just a full circle moment. Like that was so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and just looking at the book, reading one of his quotes, he said, I find the highest meaning in communing with those with whom the endowment is shared, with those who well comprehend the fire that sets our words all right. Meaning that like minds like to be around each other.
Yes.
And when you're around like minds that want to talk about these things, it pushes the envelope further for people to want to dig deeper into, like Tyson said, she wants to challenge us to get a little bit more history on this Palestine and Israel thing. Um, like I said, it definitely opened my eyes to a lot of it, and it literally, you know, made it, I resonated with the Palestinians. a lot more now before, you know. But I think just being around like-minded people that think along these type lines, because I guarantee if we get this book to somebody that doesn't necessarily read, it's not gonna hit them the same. They might not even finish the book. But I think it's important that we continue to reach people that are like-minded, that want to, you know, at some point learn something or elevate and be able to share it and have conversations about these things. So I think it's important that we continue to keep that motion going. Um, so anybody else, what else y'all got? Y'all kind of quiet today.
I ain't know how y'all was doing this, so I just raised my hand.
Well,
Uh, yeah. You know, I
Just jump
know
in
how
there, man.
this Zoom world work. But
You jump in there.
as far as what was going on, like with Palestine, I just want to know, as Black people in America, I think I'm hearing that we all kind of resonated with their plight, right? Because it kind of felt like when I was reading that he was really talking about us. I don't know if I was the only person who kind of picked that up. Um, I kind of feel like Nairi with a lot of shit because we got so many we have so much Jewish influence in our community without it even being Jewish influence.
exactly.
Like in the ownership of our community, not necessarily the culture, but the ownership
Yes.
of the community.
Yes.
So I just wanted to know, like, yo, how did y'all feel about, like, yo, this book really touched me. Like, on the real, first of all, I bought the wrong book at first. Let me say that
I did
first.
too, but
Uh,
it
What
I did too.
and I was
what book
glad that
y'all get?
I was glad that I got the book, but I had bought the wrong book initially. But
What
and
book?
I'm glad I got it. I think I bought I forgot. It's in there though. I forgot which one I bought, but I bought the wrong book. But I say all that to say, like, yo, when you understand that there are other people out here in the world who go through the same stuff as us, and it's really the same people. Because I
Yeah,
don't know if y'all realize what he was saying when he was like talking about how America and Israel and all of this stuff, they doing the same thing to Palestine that they did to us. It's just
right.
in a different form. When my
Yeah,
man said, I'm worried about them bulldozer in my house when I'm in there sleep. Did y'all peep what he was
right,
saying? The
Yeah.
emotion in that?
right. When they got the flags out there to saying that this is owned by Israel and they can come in and occupy a house at any time, that's
And you
crazy.
know, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. So I did some Hebrew Israelite studies in my life as well, and one of the things that they teach you in that is Israel is a people. It's not a place.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? So when you start, like when I felt like this book was crazy to me. I loved it. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? And I appreciate Ralph for picking this book because this book, like, it is perfect for the times.
right.
You feel
It's
Yeah,
me?
scary. It's scary because it was almost prophetic. Like literally living it right now. You understand what I'm saying?
Right. Nah, I feel you. I
yeah,
feel you.
yeah. And
Like
to
we
your
are
point,
literally in the midst of everything that he's speaking about. And it just, as we look with the Strait of Hormuz and what's going on with the oil prices and like, yo, if y'all really dive deep, nigga, ain't nobody ever wiped out Persia. And this nigga said he was gonna wipe out Persia, nigga.
look
Like
at Kirk
nobody
face.
has wiped out Persia.
Look at Kirk face. You talking
So
about his boy?
you how about this? When you have these, this was the other thing that I was felt compelled to do, right? Like you read these kind of books, right? And you take them into your day to day. Like I said, I have a Jewish doctor and there's a white Texan doctor, right? She was talking about something like lame. She was like, oh, you remember conjunction junction? What's your function? What's that?
Yeah,
What's that?
yeah.
Right? She was talking about that show. And then she said, oh, you don't remember this song when they were talking about how the Confederate, like the Constitution, because they used to teach on the Constitution on that
Right.
show, right? Like
Mhm.
tried to teach history stuff on that show, right? So then she came
Right.
to me and she was like, let me ask you a question. When you were growing up, did they teach you that the Civil War was the only thing the Civil War was about states, like the states' rights? And I was like, yeah. And I said, and what rights? Just like that. And I was like, and what else what is about? What was the Civil War really about? We know what they taught us when we were in school, but what was it really about, right? Like as you get on, I said, and then you get older and you start to read for yourself, right? And then she was like,
Yeah.
exactly. I was like, yeah, like this is all of this stuff in terms of like rewriting history and wiping away stuff is done intentionally. It's done
Amen.
intentionally because if you don't know what you need to be fighting for, you're going to just sit there honestly, like we are, pretty comfortable,
Mm.
right? You know what I'm
Mm.
saying?
Yeah. Yeah. And
She's
I speak about it. Go ahead, Ralph.
she sounds cancer cultures to me.
Who?
Your doctor friend.
No, she wasn't about cancel culture. Culture,
What I mean by that is you asked her a question
right?
and she picked a very careful way, and I know you just paraphrased of answering.
Right, right,
Like when you say something like, "Well, what else was it about?" You know what I'm saying? It's like she don't want to. Like people don't want to deal with that part.
right.
You know what I'm saying?
She didn't want to say the words. Like she didn't.
Yeah,
And I'm staring at her, but we're at work. That's one thing, right? So we're at
absolutely.
work, and we. I noticed in there we tippy toe. We do tippy toe in there because now think about it. If you
I
have
mean, because it's probably against y'all policy. You know what I'm saying?
probably absolutely against the policy, but also we're living in a culture where you have to be gentle with you can't just say exactly you have to be very gentle about it.
Yeah, because you're gonna be viewed as aggressive.
Exactly.
That's why I can't work in the office. Because
So
we
this
talk about
is
everything
why
at work.
I have to say right, but what was it really about? And I walk away,
Right.
right? And I
See,
walk. Oh, I know what happened. I said to her, I said, you know what's so crazy? I was doing homework with the kids when they were growing up. And then I realized, I said, America is a bully. That's what how she said, oh yeah. And remember what they taught us what the Civil War was about? And I said, right. And what was it really about? And I just walked away. You know what I mean?
mm,
I said, but America, I said, you start if you really do the history, you like, oh, I don't want you over here. I'm taking this land. I'm gonna fight you because I want this. I said,
hmm
and I just said it just like that, and I walked away.
yeah, that was good. You have a lot of restraint because I like to teach. I use those as teaching moments.
Yeah,
I'm
you.
like, oh, it's about slavery. Let's talk about it. How do you feel about it?
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And I use those as teaching moments. But
See,
that's why I don't work in the office.
you know what though? I live it right, like meaning Juneteenth, I'm off. And I'm putting it on the calendars and I'm doing, like I'm making these things very known. Happy,
Mm.
and I'm putting it in the group chat, right? And like, I think America is coming up on what, 100, 250 this year? What is it?
I don't
250.
know.
250.
250.
Right. So
250.
250.
1776.
So, right. So they want to do this big red, white, and blue, blah, 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 all of this other stuff.
You
But what do
grilling
that
for
look like for Black
you
America?
hanging out on 4th of July, Ty?
Wait, what you said?
You
What
hanging
do
out
that
on
look?
4th of
So
July? You going out?
I never celebrate. I never, and
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know. It's crazy because as a kid, like first of all, I think firecrackers are too loud for me. But then I always was like, what is this about? Right. And then I watched Roots every single year growing up. Like my
Mm.
mother used to make me watch Roots, and I made my kids watch Roots. So I'm like,
That's dope.
say it again?
That's dope.
Like, but there's that naked part. My kids like, Mom, we can't watch the ladies naked. I'm like, nah, that's just titties. You be fine. We're good. You understand what like very, very, I'm not gonna say like I'm the proest black, like but I'm very like strategic with it. Like I'm very quiet, but like, nah, she's not gonna do that. She's not gonna
Mm.
wear the. Oh, this is what I was gonna say. They made these red, white, and blue hats. They know I'm not wearing that
Yeah.
because on Juneteenth, y'all don't put. Where's? Are we celebrating? No.
But would you even want them to be honest? Because then we look at them as like y'all cosplaying.
Like,
Y'all don't really believe in this.
if you can always tell the spirit. of somebody. I don't care what nobody says. You can always tell when someone is genuinely sorry or remorseful, or they really got a grasp of what really happened. Like, oh my God, I get it. Right. The light bulb.
Right.
Like that lady was a white lady that was fighting for his book. She was a white teacher.
Right.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So you can always tell when someone is genuinely think. Now, I kind of, a little bit of me feel like, did she need him to come down? You know, like I don't know. I'm always a little skeptical. You know how I feel. I'm always a little skeptical about like what
One
their real
one thing
are.
excuse me.
Go ahead.
One thing I'm gonna say about the others when they join the fight, they take a lot of risks.
Yeah.
It's just like when they date outside they race. They take a lot of risks
Mhm.
because probably in their family it's a bunch of people that just
Mhm.
don't agree with the decisions they make. I'm gonna put it like
Right.
that.
Well, it
Um,
depends on who they date outside their race. Like what, how much.
right, absolutely. I mean, but when I speak, I'm talking about one of us. You know what I'm saying? Um, mm. So like, did she need him to come down there? No, but to have him there show her that I'm doing the right thing.
Okay.
You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? Like she could have been down there and just said what she had to say, and they just be like, "Oh, look at this, pick me. We are the world person."
Yeah.
Right. Black
He
Lives Matter.
had to he
Right.
had to believe in what she had going before he showed up. Because I'm pretty sure he might have looked at it like, man, what the hell is this? And I've been went down there and got set up. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
So I believe in, when they join the fight, some of them, you know what I'm saying? Some of them actually feel bad about their history.
Yeah,
Right.
I ain't,
I was
you
gonna say that. I want
Right.
to say
yeah,
that
some
too. Go ahead, Rob.
like like some
I'm
like some
jumping
of them
after you.
really like some of them really feel bad about their history because this is something that their grandfathers brought to them. Their grandmamas and great grandmama, like fathers and all that. So they grew up believing like, these people are just mad at the fact that we did this, we did that, and now they get into their own lives and they start reading these books and things, and they're like, wait a minute, y'all lied to me.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's hard to believe that your parents could have lied to you about Santa Claus. You know what I'm saying? Like when you really find out the truth, like, yo, y'all lied to me.
Yeah.
And this is what really happened. You know what I'm saying? So I actually I appreciate anybody that step outside their regular for what they feel is right. You know what I'm saying? Because you put a lot at risk. And in what we see in their culture, that they could lose a whole family.
Yeah.
They can get taken out the wheel. It's
Yep.
it's a lot, you know what I'm saying, that goes on. Like, we sit and we talk about Kurt a lot, and not in a negative way, but his views on things. But I'm pretty sure somewhere in life is somebody who don't mess with Kurt no more because of his views on politics. Kurt's a great guy. I done known Kurt 26 years. You know what I'm saying? And I don't agree with everything he says. You know what I'm saying? Especially in today's world. But I can't say that it's been times that Kurt ain't really hit me with something that I was like, oh, that's some real food he hit me with. You know what I'm saying? So I look at when they join our fight, they really feel bad about it. And they probably got what what we call black friends, and they might be walking up to them saying, "Hey man, I didn't know. I'm sorry." You know what I'm saying? Like, it's possible. You know what I'm saying? And what we looking like, no, you wasn't even there. Like, you tripping. You know what I'm saying? But for them, it means something because their whole life they've been told something that's a lie. So,
But even in
go ahead,
saying that,
dog. Go ahead.
and a lot of times they fight harder for it than we do, and that's why when I speak everything you just said, when I say it to other people, they be like, "Nah, I don't mess with them folks." And I was like, they putting a whole lot, like you said, their lineage that has taught them this, so they going against the grain just on their own household, and then they got to deal with the black people. Be like, "Oh, you faking? What you doing out here?" You know what I mean? So they got a double-edged sword when they deal with it. And a lot of them, like I said, they just go all out more so than a lot of black people would. So I always appreciate the people that are genuine about it. You got a lot of grifters that's just doing it for, you know, to
Their
look
savior
a certain way.
complex. But if they have a savior complex, then
You
that,
you see it though. You see that savior complex.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But going back to the book, and you think about it, because something you guys said, and I was like, a lot of this stuff is religion, right? Like religious base, like how you were taught reading your Bible, and this is what you think. Like, oh, this is the truth. But then in terms of the Jews, if they only read out of the New Testament, we make jokes about that at work as well, because if I talk about anything in the New Testament, a Jew is going to say, I don't know nothing about the New Testament, only the Old Testament. You
Mm,
understand what I'm saying? So a real Jew, like an Orthodox Jew, they only focus on the Old Testament. So that's where like everything that they're doing, or every custom that they take it, they say, oh, this is what we're about right here. So
mm,
even let's say during Christmas, if I play a Jesus song and Jesus, she don't want to hear that.
mm,
You see what I'm saying? Like that's just not what they believe. That's not, they don't subscribe to that. So if you notice in the book when he was at the Lions Gate and the guy asked him, like, what's your religion? And he was like, I don't have,
right. What's
right?
your grandparent? What's your
What's
parents?
your parents' religion? They don't have religion.
Mm,
What's your
mm,
grandpa? And I'm gonna tell you why I felt like that was important. Growing up in the church and then stepping back and looking like, wait, this stuff is not lining up, because y'all coming up with your own thing and not teaching my kids. Now, my kids are gonna say they don't have religion.
mm,
My kids will be him saying, I don't have religion. My mother didn't teach me. It's not, we're not Christian. We're not, you understand what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
Because of what it's become.
Yeah,
You see what I'm saying? Like, and
I
because
agree.
and how when you go to other countries, this is what they will stand on. And
Mm,
you will be like, over there, we're like, what? Who do you who do you serve?
mm,
Africa, same thing. There's places in Africa. If you're Muslim versus being a Christian, you could get killed.
mm, yeah.
I agree with that. I think my kids will be growing up the same way. That was a part of the book that kind of stood out to me when he had to go through that, and he like, well, I mean, my grandparents were Christian. My children will go through that as well because I grew up Christian, and then during my early adult years, I went into Hebrew Israelite. So we believed that we were the original Jews. So, like you said, only the only the Old Testament was recognized for everything, for every way of living. But as you live and you go through things, you start dismantling the truths in all of it. It becomes confusing because you don't believe some of the things that happen in that, and you're just like, what happens when you get to the New Testament? So all of those things do become confusing. That's why I appreciated his. I don't know if it was him being neutral in the book, but I appreciated him. I think you said it, Sean, just him just kind of going to all sides and just trying to see what the different sides felt about things so that he can get a broad perspective on everything. And I think that's important because I think even Curtis said, like, you grow up in one place and that's kind of all you know. You're limited in your perspective and in your lenses, so him being a writer, I thought that was very, very profound of him to want to know all the parts of the story as he reported. And I think he even said one time he felt bad about something that he had reported on Palestine that wasn't totally true.
Mm,
Or all the way thought out, so I appreciated him taking accountability for him as a journalist or as a writer, how his perspective could change the narrative of things as people picked up on his work, in the media, and that's very important, for him to be informed. So, and then just one more thing, I'm just thinking about just as we all travel. I mean, of course, our line of work and just our passions, all of us have traveled. How have you guys traveling to these different places? How have you been received? Or when you thought that you was going to be perceived another way? I know when I went to Egypt, I didn't know what to think. I didn't know if it was going to be heavy Muslim, heavy Christian, but ironically, it was heavy Christian, and and it was they really felt as if Black Americans were the ones. So they were, I don't know if it was performative, but they were just like, you're the original people, even though their libraries were like had a lot of sections on the Black American plight. So, like, I don't know what beefs, their internal beefs with Palestine and how they feel about them. But on the flip side, what they present on the tourist side of Egypt, they're praising Black Americans in our plight in some parts. So it can get weird, and you really do have to do your research to know what to believe, take in the good and spit out the bad per se.
How did you feel being in Egypt and it was time for the sun to set and the sirens went off and you had to get your ass off the streets? Hello?
Helen.
Helen, did you hear me?
No, it went out
He-
for a second. You said when the sirens went off and what
And,
happened?
and you had to get off the streets.
That didn't happen when I was
See,
there.
me
That
and
didn't
Flex went
happen
to
at all. We were out all night.
yeah, me and Flex went to Cairo. And what was that, Flex? Oh,
Okay, that's where I
19?
was.
What year?
19?
What year?
What was that, 19, Flex?
18, I think.
18? And when the sun was setting, he took us back to the compound because it was time to pray.
Now,
Was
see,
it during Ramadan or something like?
what was that? Was
It was what, March, Flex?
Yeah, yeah. So we went in March, and they still had a little conflict going on out there. So our driver, even though he told we can go out at night, but it was like certain times. So like we was gonna
Yeah.
go out to the and had a little joint on the Nile. Where you can go out on the Nile on a boat and had the food and the party and shit. We was gonna do all that. All that was cool, but it was a certain time. He was like, "Well, like now it's kind of the time to be down because things happen."
Mm.
So it was like that's the only that. So I know exactly what Ralph's talking about. I don't know if that's all the time thing, but that definitely happened while we was there.
That definitely happened while we was there.
now you see, you guys just proved my point. How we speak from our experiences to you, to people.
Absolutely.
You see what I mean? And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about, but this is why I think it's so important that we have these experiences, though, right? And then we
Mm.
get together and we have these conversations, because if you just stay in your little bubble, or if you don't read, your mind is going to be closed, you know.
Right.
And I think that this brother right here, the fact that he explores and opens up his mind is one of his greatest gifts, honestly.
And
Yeah.
if I could jump in with that, because it was a lot that was said. I had put my hand up, but the moderator doesn't acknowledge any of that.
Yeah,
First,
he
So,
No,
did.
I was coming to you, brother. I don't like to cut people off. I was coming to you. I saw your hand, brother.
but
oh, okay.
I want to say a few things about what we were talking about. Like Nairi is exactly like you are on point. Like how you feel about what this conversation is what I feel about it too, and about our experiences and what it is we experience. Helen, the stuff that you are saying about this conversation, like I'm not gonna lie to you, I've never not connected double negative with black people. I don't care what your origins are. Because whether you're Spanish or you African, like at the end of the day, I connect with people who look like me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So that's really one thing that I really wanted to say. But the problem is we don't always open our thinking up to be able to connect with the people who look like us. So if it's anything that I can bring out of this, because this book was amazing, and I can talk about this book and everything he wrote about, but like, yo, we got to be able to connect with people who look like us, regardless of where you originated.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But you got to be able to connect with the people who look like you. You know what I mean? Like Ralph called me a chameleon all the time because that's a fact. Now Ralph is here. He can say or maybe he ain't, but he can tell you. He'd be like, when the Haitians come up, I'm say. When the Spanish people come up, I'm like, que lo que, or you know what I mean, que pasa. Like I'm all of that. You know what I'm saying? When the Africans come up and I, you know what I mean, I hit them and they got the jollof rice or whatever, whenever, like I connect with people who look like me.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, to be honest with you, the culture, my culture, is what I grew up with. But our culture as a community is way bigger than just what I grew up with. And Sean, you've been to my mother's house. You've been to my mother's house. You've seen what I grew up around.
Yeah.
And so has Ralph. But y'all can actually speak on that. But I'm telling you, like I always like people who look like me, y'all, we all one. I don't care who you call your Allah, your God, your Lord, your Savior. Like we all grew up on the same type shit. And
Mm.
we gonna go through the same type problems. So I really feel like this book for this conversation to be able to bring us together to speak about our experiences. It was a great fucking book, man. And the book was great. I read 111 pages the first day I picked the book up. It's only 130 in the fucking book.
Yeah.
This book is light. Like it's a small book, but it's deep. Like I was,
Deep.
that's what I said. Oh, okay, all right, okay.
Yeah, it's a great book. I loved it. And like
No, I
like
love
Ralph
it.
said, I agree with Ralph. When he first started, it was like he was rambling. I was like, am I walking down the street with this dude and we just talking, like shooting the shit? And then when he got to the stuff, it was a speed train after that. And I couldn't put the book down after that. So yeah, it's a great book. Anybody else got anything else they want to say? I think we kind of approaching the hour. I don't want to cut it off, but I mean we can keep it going. But I just want to
Y'all,
make sure everybody gets stuff out they want to get out.
y'all go ahead and keep it going. I appreciate everybody's feedback on the book. The Pistons come on in 15 minutes. I have to prepare. I have to get in uniform
Mm.
to get ready to watch the game.
You
So
got 5 minutes, nigga. No, fuck that. You
I
got 5 minutes.
I
You can close
appreciate
out
your
with us.
time and yeah,
Bro, they
You can close out with us.
you know what I'm saying.
Nick,
I
Nick,
appreciate.
Nick's
Hey,
played yesterday, so we everything,
I
everything
ain't
else
got
don't
nothing to do with
matter.
that. I ain't got nothing to
Nick's
do with
played
that.
yesterday.
I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to
See,
You
talk
don't
about
have. We don't have to. We ain't got to talk
so
about it. But y'all got to talk about this book for 5 more minutes.
it.
uh,
And
I mean,
Flex, and
you done
Flex,
took 3 of the minutes telling me I got 5 minutes, so really got 2 minutes.
Flex,
So
you got the next book coming up. So
let me know what that is. Like I said, once again, I appreciate everybody. I'm out.
Ralph, thanks for picking a good book first and foremost.
That nigga gone.
when you
John,
Yeah,
you ain't got nothing to say. John, you been kind of quiet today. That ain't like you.
real quiet.
Y'all have to call me out. My bad. I had to multitask a little bit, but I've been enjoying the conversation. It's it's one of these books that I really think everybody needs to read because again, we don't pay attention enough to the fact of how our personal stories shape our lives
yes.
and how oh,
So I said amen. I was saying yes, yes. Go ahead.
and how so many of us allow religion to control and dictate everything it is that we do and don't do
Mm.
in these situations. And so much could be better if we weren't just so boxed in to our religious views and took the time. It's not about you agreeing with somebody else, but just taking a moment to see that, okay, that's another perspective, another thing, something else that, I can learn from. Of course, speaking when people are talking sensibly, not when people are saying crazy stuff. But another part to this, like when y'all were talking about how our plight is so similar to what the Palestinians are going through, but what's crazy about that is people still put us out there on our own island. And not everybody, of course, but they won't say that, yeah, I can see how what we're going through is what black people have went through and are still going through in this country. They still just kind of leave us out there like, I mean, whatever. We're not important. It's reparations, nah, for what? Racism, nah, that doesn't exist. And it's crazy. But then you have the Palestinian conflict and everybody, they have an opinion. And then we have to have an opinion on what's going on over there. And to Flex's point about, how Jews control our community. I I wish every day as black people that we just pay more attention to these things. and stop allowing everybody in. Everybody has to come to the cookout. Everybody has to be a part of, you know, um, everybody just has to be a part of, and it's nah, they don't. And why are you allowing this Jewish man to tell you what songs can come out?
Yep.
Why are you allowing, this Asian man to sell you hair when his doesn't look like yours? Why are we doing all of these things? And so, like, just the way that and the way he was able to sit back and say, you know what, like I said, I misreported something and I need to correct myself because I don't want to do that. It's so many things to learn from this book, from the trip to Africa, in South Carolina, him being in Palestine. Like, you can pick this book up so many times and always pick up a new nugget. But I think it's one of these things, like, even you have to sit down with your kids, with family members, and have them read this book, because it's a whole lot of nuggets in it. Not just being in the place, but what you can change just as a part of your daily life because of, how you view things. So, yeah, I've been a little quiet because I was multitasking, but I definitely been enjoying the conversation. So this was dope today.
Thank you, Ja. Thank you,
Thanks for calling
Ja.
her out. Thanks for calling her out, Flex.
Yeah, it ain't even about that. Y'all ain't got to do all that. I'm always here. Even if I'm quiet, I'm always here.
It's all good. It's all good. Yeah. So Flex, where you taking us next month?
Uh, my heart is kind of torn in between two books. It's a book I already read, and it's a book that a friend of mine wrote. So I'm probably gonna go with the book that I read because of the space that we've been in. You know what I'm saying? But y'all know, if you write a book, nigga, I'm reading it. Like, and
Right.
I'm promoting it. Like, and I say that to all of y'all that's in here. If you do something, I'm supporting it.
Right.
So maybe my next book is probably gonna be something that I tell y'all, that's from somebody I know.
Mm.
But I think I'm gonna go with
The dope,
post-traumatic slave syndrome.
okay, the dope thing about having somebody you can get them involved in a conversation too. So we can do a Q&A and ask them too.
I
If
was
we have
going to say
Now,
that.
I got another book. Like, if y'all want to really dive into, something that
Yeah,
somebody we can actually put our hands on.
Yeah, I
I would
think
prefer that, Flex.
Pleasure
I would
Principles,
prefer
though.
that. Huh?
Pleasure Principles by Sherry Shabazz is about sexuality. I know y'all know my girl Sherry, man, and she be on. Yeah, she be on it.
Right. So
You know what I'm
I
saying?
would I
So,
would
like,
prefer that because I would like to have, and this was a question I was going to say, just to the group in itself, because of the type of books that we're reading. I don't want it to feel like that is just one lane that we're doing. You know what
right.
I'm saying? I want to be able to touch other things. I'm not saying I want to sit here and read some romance novels, no, but I want to be able to touch, what I mean, touch on some other things, from y'all's perspectives, or the stuff that interests y'all, that is not always about race and about slavery and things of
but
this nature. I want
and
to touch
I
on other
definitely
things.
feel you out. But I do
Yeah,
got one of them.
yeah.
One that's a great book, and it goes along with our conversation. But if not, if y'all want to read something a little more offbeat, like I said, I got the present. Like, I'll let y'all decide. We can put a
No,
little.
it's up to you.
As long as
It's
it's
up to
on
you.
audio.
Right. It's up to you, my brother.
As long as it's on audio book.
Nah, I don't
What?
do no audiobooks, bro. Like,
I
we
mean,
read.
that
Right,
it
we
can be
turn
on.
I respect
pages.
whatever you say, bro. I
Right.
respect whatever you say, but I'm just letting you know. Don't
Don't,
ask me about no
don't,
audio shit. I don't
don't,
read reading
don't hate
over
on
here.
the audio. When life gets busy,
Yeah,
boy, when you
yeah,
take a 4-hour drive, them audio books be on the money.
yes,
I get that. But
yes, for sure.
especially if
Yeah,
it's somebody
but
that,
don't ask me something about something as long as I'm a participate as long as it's on audio. I ain't, move around.
No.
I
I could just saying, but what I said, I asked, was it on audio?
Oh, I don't know, bro. I don't know. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Okay. Can I give a closing statement right quick?
all right. All
A
right, Pastor.
closing statement from
Benedict.
the antithesis.
my mother my mother and dad grew up in Mississippi, Aberdeen, Mississippi. And I remember when I graduated from high school, Cooley High in Detroit, I joined the Nation of Islam. And I used to be those dudes on the corner selling papers. So I got really, they called, at the time, they called them brand new Muslims, which was, we was zealots, or we was intense with our new knowledge. So I would come home and, I would talk to my dad and my mom, but to speed the story up, my mom would be real quiet and kind of like not really engaging me, my mother. And of course, you really don't know what's going on until somebody passed. So my mom passed, my dad passed, because my dad would give me pushback on the things I used to be into, like the black knowledge and stuff like that. And my uncle, which is my mom's little brother, said that now my mother had 11 brothers and sisters, and she was the oldest daughter of the girls. So when the civil rights movement was happening, she did a sit-in Mississippi. And I remember telling my mom, I would ask my mom about Mississippi, and she would say, I grew up in Philadelphia. And I was like, nah, that makes sense. You grew up in Philadelphia. No, Milwaukee, pardon self. She grew up in Milwaukee. And I was like, dang, so everybody else didn't grow up, you didn't grow up with your brothers and sisters? She said, no, she never mentioned it. But my point is, my uncle told me the story. She said that my mother got involved with the civil rights movement. And I imagine you, my grandfather, which is her father, had 12 kids, and they fired him for it. They fired my grandfather because what my mother did. So they had to move my mother to Milwaukee with his brother, my grandfather's brother, which is her uncle. And there are, but long story short, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is that when you want to be part of the movement, there's consequences. And I know Flex asked me about, am I blaming the Palestinians on what they go through? And I just remember, as he was talking, I remember have you heard of the name Yasser Arafat? Yasser Arafat was big in the 90s. He was a Palestinian leader.
Yes.
Yasser Arafat.
Yeah.
Yasser Arafat assassinated the president of Egypt. And the reason why Yasser Arafat assassinated the president of Egypt is because he made a peace deal with Isaac Rabin of Israel. To make those two connect is that in this conversation where I brought these things up is that when my uncle told me that story, I had to look back of how passive my mother was, and she saw how the struggle she put her father in, because what she did was impulsive and not reading the room of the history of Mississippi, which she almost destroyed the family. And that being said, in my closing statement is that it taught me to look at the big picture. You know what I'm saying? Is that there's many ways to fight other than how everybody else is doing it. So that was kind of long-winded. That's it.
Yeah, Kurt, you're long-winded, and
Yeah.
I'm glad that you realize that. We're going to work on your editing skills when it comes to your conversation. But we get it. That's a good point, though.
Yeah.
It's a very good point. Very good point.
Everybody can't be a foot soldier, right? Like everybody can't be on the front lines. Everybody has a role to play, but the vision has to be the same, though. You understand what I'm saying? Like
that's the key, the vision.
The vision.
Yeah.
Roles will definitely be different. And then some people, I'm not gonna lie, before I have 4 kids, you could put me on the front line, right? And I'm like, whatever, ready to die for my beliefs. Once I had the kids, I'm like I said, I move a little differently. So I definitely understand the point that you made, like how it uprooted your grandparents and their whole family and that. But sometimes you got to be willing to take one for the team. But if you can, right? Like if you can, but I totally understand your point. If you decide to play the game another way, as long as you playing the right game, I don't have a problem with it.
I agree. I agree with that.
Happy.
Mm. All right.
Bottom
Anybody else?
line, man, my man's book was dope.
Yeah,
That's all I
Yeah.
want to say.
yeah.
Bottom line, my
I
man's book moved me. His writing moved me. Like everything that was like what we was doing with that book moved me. And
Mm.
I just want to say, like, I'm appreciative to being a part of his writings. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? And he was able to create his own narrative for our people. And he
I
talked about that in the book, the
right.
narratives. He talked about it.
yeah.
Right. Yeah. I would suggest you read his other stuff. The only one you don't have to read is that we were 8 years in power. That was literally when he was writing for the Obamas and things of that nature. He even said in this book where it was just kind of like that's the one that just kind of was like, yeah. But his other books, the
That was
only
his.
other
That was the son, right?
yeah,
Remember how
like
he? Yeah.
yeah, the trouble one. Like, yeah. So, because I have that one, I read that one, and then Between Me and the World, that's another great one. That book, that's the first one that I read of his. Because I bought I bought 8 Years in Power first, but it's a big book, so I didn't finish it. I started and it was slow, and then my dad got me Between Me and the World, and I read that one instantly. That book is amazing, and so then we get this one. It's the same. It's the same as this one here, but it's talking about he talking about what's happening here at home,
Mm.
in Baltimore, and where he was coming from and him going through school and college and stuff like that. So he's a great writer, great writer.
And he's
So
a great teacher. He's a great teacher. Understanding how kids learn and how kids all learn differently is a big, like, people just in general learn differently. So that was another point that he brought out too, that I was like, thank you for saying it. Yeah, that's true.
and if you can watch any video of him whenever he's debating or talking to somebody, just even the way that he approaches conversations, like he's never riled up. He
Mhm.
just kind of sit back and he gonna let you say what you gotta say, and then he gonna hit you with some like he was talking about one of this guy that was pro Israel, and he went to this guy's podcast, and it was another journalist, and he was talking to him, and he literally the guy said what he had to say because the guy had said something publicly about we shouldn't be going against Israel and this and that, and he sat there, he let him say his speech, and he said, well, wasn't silence an option? Did you have to say something? Can you
Mm,
just be quiet?
mm,
And the guy was just like, damn, he got it. You know what I'm saying? So
mhm.
if you get a chance, look up any videos on him talking, man. He's a great dude and he humble. He one of them guys in one of the other books he talks about. He don't like the stardom or the celebrity. He wants to be the guy to be able to sit back and write and not have people running up on him and all of that stuff. So
Yeah,
That's
great.
went on YouTube and saved the interview with him and Trevor Noah so I could watch that later.
Mm,
Because I saw a little clip of that and Trevor was talking about how, I don't even really get upset for other people, but the way the CBS interview came across. So I'm excited to go and listen to those later to see exactly how much they railroaded him
yeah.
behind this book and then how he dealt with it and then everything that Trevor had to say. So, and another thing too, I just thought about with him talking about the storytelling and words and how people use words in order to, like, you can just say what you have to say, but then it's a way that you can use your words to really bring somebody there so they feel like they were there with you. And it just made me think about, what it is that I do,
mm,
and how storytelling in a very specific way will just
Damn.
transform everything in what I do, but then also just period and having conversations with people. So
Mm,
it's one of those things where you have to look at your vocabulary and use it, accordingly to really paint that picture for folks, because that's something that will really help to inspire and change minds. So
Yeah, can you put that video in the chat?
yeah, I'll drop it in the chat.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking that one up too. I love Trevor and his books and everything. So I'm sure that's a great conversation.
I never read any of Trevor stuff.
Yeah, he
Oh,
did.
it's really good.
Yeah.
No, Trevor Noah is crazy.
Yeah. His whole experience, you know.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess we can wrap this thing up. You know what I mean? Another fun, successful meeting. I hope we continue to do this and stay consistent with it. I'm enjoying it. I'm loving every minute of it. And I hope we can grow a little bit more. And not just for the sake of having people in here, but for the sake of having people that are like minded and we continue to feed into each other and feed off of each other. Because I know every one of these, I get something from everybody that makes you, and we should be always wanting to learn outside of, like we talked about today, outside of what I'm used to. We want to be able to, like you were saying, Helen, and with Ralph and Flex's experience in Egypt, and then yours. Two, you know, when you pointed out, Tyson, it was two different situations, but they were able to talk about one specific aspect, and you weren't because you didn't have to experience that, and it was had to do with timing. That was the only difference, was timing. So those are the type of things that I like to learn, and I constantly try to feed off of y'all. And that's why I was saying with Flex, don't feel like you're restricted to a certain type of book. You know, if you want to put your homegirl book out there, let's do that. Because I don't want us to feel like we're railroaded into one tunnel in the type of books that we read. But I do want to keep it to where we're still able to get something out of the book, whatever it is that we're reading. But it doesn't always have to be about race or, like I said,
No, I
slavery
know.
or
I got you.
the system and all of that stuff. But I still want to be able to get some, or just even some, some old critical writing, like some, real good writers or whatever that we feel like we think we would enjoy. So
I can't pick a Harlequin romance novel.
no, ma'am. No, we're not doing. We ain't doing Ricky's Revenge on
Come on
50.
now, we're not gonna do a Kennedy Ryan book.
Nah. Nah. So, if anybody else got anything they want to say, if not, we'll go ahead and wrap this thing up. Jai, you say you're gonna put that video in the chat?
I already did.
Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I put it in the group. My bad, not in the chat because I'm on my computer. So
Okay.
Soundproof group.
Yeah, it's in the
Oh,
soundproof.
okay.
That's
All
good.
right. That's fine. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's it. Helen, what was that you just picked up, Helen? What is you doing?
Oh, I was looking at my books.
Yeah.
I was looking at my romance book so I can
Yeah.
put them in the chat so you can get ready.
And also,
I
I'll put the video.
I love my black people. I love my black people.
Also, I will put the video in the group of Yasser Arafat and like some of the reasons why people don't mess with Palestinians. I'm not saying they're bad people. It's just that people only know the struggle and the hardship of Palestinians. But like I said earlier about would you let somebody that did 40 years in max prison into your house? You wouldn't. I mean, I wouldn't. Pardon yourself. But that's off topic.
What if you were the oppressor?
Say again.
What if you were the oppressor? And now now these people come out and they have nowhere to go.
See, that's the thing. That's the dilemma. Believe it or not, and that's what I want to get to. And you know what? Let's do this in the
that's a whole nother
group.
conversation.
Yeah, it's a whole nother.
That's a whole nother conversation.
Because everybody got to go, but I got to go too.
Yeah. All right. Y'all take it easy. Enjoy the rest
man.
of y'all.
Everybody love.
All right, love y'all.
Good. Y'all next time.
Love y'all. All right.
Next time.
All right.